Okay. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for jumping on our weekly team huddle. I'm so excited for tonight's Zoom. I'm going to go ahead and put this on speaker view really quickly. I'm so excited for tonight's Zoom to hear from Liz Edwards. Let me just mute everybody for a second. We have some background noise. Okay. I am so excited to hear from Liz. She went double diamond last month, and watching her do this promotion was absolutely incredible. Just to see the way that she worked, the high level of belief that she had, the amount of work that went into this promotion. And Liz has a lot of stuff in her personal life. She has kids, she's a mom, she's, juggling all of these different things, but she's still, the level of commitment that she put into this promotion was absolutely mind-blowing. And so I'm really excited to just unpack a little bit of that with you tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started, Liz, with hearing your story. Just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with the business. I think you're unmuted. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Hi. Okay. I'm Liz, and I have been in the business since March of 2016. I joined with Claire, and funny story, I've known Claire since we were kids. So I knew Claire before she was, beautiful Ambassador Diamond Claire. And I actually ignored her numerous times and tried to unfollow her on Facebook, literally clicked unfollow on Facebook because I was, never doing this business. I was never going to do network marketing. Nope, not doing it. And, God has a sense of humor because her stuff kept showing up. And my husband actually is the one who was like, have you seen what's going on with Claire? Like, have you watched? She retired her husband. They just earned this big bonus. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ignoring it. I'm not doing it. And finally, I reached out because we had just gotten to a point. At that point, we had 2 kiddos. So I'll say that. I have Emma, she's 5. Theo is 3, and Asa will be 9 months on Thursday, and I don't want to talk about it. But at that point, we had Emma and Theo, and I was working at my church. I was leading children's ministry, and my husband had a full-time job, and we were just really scraping by. There wasn't any extra. Like, we were paying our bills, and that was it. And we just really felt like, how are we ever going to get ahead? How are we ever going to take a family vacation or, buy a nice vehicle or buy a house or do anything because we're so strapped with what we already have? And so I reached out to her and I asked her, share all of the details, hold nothing back. I want every detail. And I'm not really a green person, but that day I remember I was like, no, I need you to tell me everything because I don't really want to do this. So I'm hoping that you'll say something that will make me be like, oh, okay, decision made, I'm not doing it. And it didn't happen. She answered every question, shared everything. We prayed about it. And I signed up, and now I'm kicking myself that I watched her for those 8 months and that I ignored her messages because I could have been 8 months further. But I joined the business. I didn't do anything my first month. I was so pumped up and excited. And then I got, all nervous about what everybody was going to say. And I had a lot of naysayers. Some people very close to me were really against this, and they were vocal about it. And, that makes you feel very insecure, and it's really hard to kind of push through that when you're starting something new and you don't really know what that new thing is. And you're just like, okay. And so after about a month, I really dived in. I went Ruby shortly after that. I sat at Ruby for a while. I went Emerald after I went to my first conference, and 3 months after I went Emerald, I went Diamond. And I was Diamond for a year and a half. And I just went double Diamond last month, and it has been a journey. Like, there have been hills, valleys, everything in between. But I love it.
Well, good. I'm so glad that my stuff kept coming through, even though I don't know how that worked. We beat the algorithm somehow, but I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, so I really want you to share with us how you kept your belief so high last month, because and just to throw this out there, like the number that you were looking at the beginning of the month that you needed to go double diamond was a massive number, and a number that probably a lot of people would have looked at and said, okay, this probably isn't my month. Like I probably should do this next month. But you looked at it, you had all the facts, and you guys, Liz is so good with her numbers. She was on top of her numbers. She always knew exactly what was going on. And yet you still just had this belief and this confidence that it was going to happen. And I know that it wavered for, a few times, but at the same time, you always were like this, you always had like this solid base that you came back to. And I feel like if it wavered for a few minutes and then you were back. So talk to us about that. How did you keep your belief so high? And what did you do when doubt did start to creep in?
Okay. So the first thing I did, I know, like when in October, we made the decision, like I'm going double, it's got to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then November 1st hit and I ran my numbers and I was like, holy cow, like that's a lot. Like that's a lot of volume that I have to get. And, at the time I still had quite a few people on my team who were not working. They weren't doing anything. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I know that's one of the questions, but, I pretty much had to shift my mindset. Like that was the first thing I had to do, was instead of saying, I hope, or I'm trying, or if I do, I literally stopped saying any of that. And I just said, I am going double diamond. Like I am. And I know it seems so silly and like kind of abstract, but like I even said to my husband, because he would be like, well, just think of it like, you're pushing for a double. So even if you miss, like that's going to be an awesome diamond check. And I'm like, no. Like, don't even say that. Like, there's not a plan B. We can't have that option because I know how I work. Like, I don't know if anyone else thinks like I do, but if I give myself an exit plan, then, when I want to go to bed because I'm like exhausted, I'll be like, it's fine. It's, I don't need to like get back to that person, or their message can wait till tomorrow, or I'll just put that post up tomorrow. It's too late. No one's going to want it. Like, that's how I am. And I know that if I, allowed him or myself to say like, well, if we push and we fall, well, that's amazing. And obviously, even if that happened, like it would still be incredible, but I couldn't put that in my head. Like I had to like match my heart in my head and be like, I am going double diamond. There's no other option. And then another thing that I had to do was like I was kind of saying, we know that like you have to take every thought captive. So I really made a conscious effort for the whole month of November that I did not do any negative talk. I was like, if I had a negative thought about something, I would say it and then I would move it on and like follow it up with something positive or something encouraging, even if it's so silly and I can't think of something off the top of my head. But basically you have to take your thoughts captive and like you can decide to like stop living in constant chaos, and you can decide to stop living in a victim mindset and you like wondering, oh my gosh, how's this going to happen? Like this number is so big. How am I ever going to do this? You can stop all of that. Like everything doesn't have to go wrong. You're not seeing, you might not be seeing the growth that you want now, but you have to shift the way that you look at it and think of your outlook as, you have to make the choice to shut those thoughts down. And, it's funny because I was going to talk kind of about that, like the victim and the overcomer mindset. And Mike was like, my husband, he's like, yeah, you can't be a victim and an overcomer. You have to choose one. And you have to decide pretty early on. Sorry. You can't be an overcomer with a victim's mindset. He's correcting me from the other room. And I was just like, that's perfect because, you have to decide really early on in a month that you're going to promote or a month that you have big goals or just in general in this business, you have to decide that you are an overcomer regardless of everything that comes at you. Because let me tell you, if you are pushing for something big, you can expect a lot of kickback from every area of your life. That's just going to happen. And if you decide I'm going to overcome and I'm not going to focus on that, it's going to happen. But if you are continuously like, oh my gosh, like another thing or this or that, like you can't have both. You can't have a victim mindset and be an overcomer. You just can't do it. And so when I doubted, I would pray right away. Like that was my solution. I would be like, nope, I'm not even giving this thought any room to grow. I'm just going to pray right now. I would turn on worship music. I would text my upline. So I would text Claire, or I have a few sideline sisters that I would text and just be like, how's your month going? Or how's your day going? And I wouldn't even tell them really necessarily that anything was like I mean, sometimes I did, but not every time. It was more, I wanted to get close to the fire, and I knew that maybe I was struggling, but maybe they weren't. And so maybe what they would say to me about like, oh my gosh, I just signed this person, or, oh, I'm in like this conversation, that I need to know like, okay, yeah, like we're going. I'm going to forget all of that stuff, that crap that's in my head. I'm going to just, I want to get close to the fire. You're on fire. Let's go. I would put on worship music because what you're fueling yourself is totally going to outpour. So put on worship music, watch a team training. Like if you don't know where to start, go to YouTube and type in Claire's name, and you're going to find her page on YouTube, and you'll see tons of trainings. Like find something that is going to empower you and speak life into you, listen to a sermon. Another thing I did is I would sit my phone down. I'd be like, okay, like, you're having a rough conversation, or like somebody was like, yes, I'm going to order, and then they don't order. Or, you're talking to a potential DT, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, sorry, change my mind, I can't do it. I would put my phone down and I would give myself like 5 minutes. I would go play with my kids, or go eat a snack, or do something that didn't involve talking to people and doing that. And that was almost like just a little recharge of like, okay, I gave myself 5 minutes. I feel refreshed. I'm going to go back at it, and just kind of like forgetting whatever conversation I just had that wasn't what I wanted it to be. Pretty much anything to reboot and remind myself of why I'm doing this. Yes, that was everything from that. And the other thing was the whole comparison is a thief of joy. I preach this all the time. I will tell every single person, comparison is a thief of joy. And so for me, when I'm pushing for a big goal, I can't look left or right. And so I pretty much unfollow a ton of people on my newsfeed, a ton of leaders, because I know that like if I'm seeing things from them, I'm just going to always kind of being like comparing myself to them, and what's working for them might not work for me. Usually it's probably not going to work for me, because everybody is their own person and everyone has their own ideas and their own skills. And so I just had to shut that out. There's a few people that I kept, obviously. And like, then again, like I said, I would text, my upline or my sideline and get a personal conversation to be, because then it's not really, you remove the comparison when you're actually physically talking to the person, as opposed to just scrolling your Facebook and like quietly judging them. So, or judging yourself, really. That's what you're doing, is you're judging yourself. And you don't need any of that when you're trying to push for something big. So,
yeah. I love that, because like obviously mindset is an inward thing, but at the same time, you pointed out so many outward things that you did to protect your mindset. And I think that's powerful. I think we start losing the mindset game when we only focus inward, when we only think it's everything we do inward, because then we start overthinking and then we just like get even more in our head, right? But you gave so many outward tools, like stop the comparison game, put on worship music, set your phone down for a minute, have a conversation with someone you trust. Like what good, like practical tools that we can employ to be like, okay, my mind's not right, so let me go down the checklist of like all of these different things I can do to get my mind right. That's really, really good. Okay. So once your mindset is there, there's obviously action that takes place too. And so what did your actions look like to actually make Double Diamond happen last month? What did you make sure to do whenever you were actually sitting down working? What were the things that you were making sure to do? And then what was your posting like, and what was your messaging like?
Okay. So obviously we post every single day, regardless of what you're doing or what you're pushing for. You should be posting every single day. I used to post a ton, and I just kind of noticed that for me, I wanted to put something more authentic up than just like a million different things. So, but you post every single day, before and afters. I went through a season where I didn't post before and afters because I was like, no, I'm not putting a bare belly on my Facebook page because people will be like so judgy, and what is she doing? No, your paycheck depends on before and afters. Let me just put that out there. Like, people need to see before and afters. And if I learned nothing else in the month of November, it's that I need to put before and afters up all of the time, because I would get so much interest and so much, like, so many messages. People would, I am never, okay, it's been almost 3 years that I've been in this business, and I can probably count on two hands the number of times that people have randomly reached out to me. and been like, I saw what you're posting. I would like info on it. Like, it just doesn't, it's never really happened for me. In the month of November, it happened. And I think it was a mix of a lot of things, but I think one of the biggest things was that I was actually putting before and afters up, and people were like, oh, it does work. Like, oh my gosh, it's, like, look at that. People are having an amazing transformation in their body. I might want in on that. So put the before and afters up. And another thing on that, like, they don't need a whole novel. Like, you want to have the bulk of the conversation and the bulk of the details in a message. So don't put a before and after up with a novel of like every single thing they used and the pricing and all of that. Make it short, quick, something to catch their attention, and then get everything into a conversation that's private. Just that, because then you can really talk through their goals and all of that. I did a ton of Insta polls on stories, I did a ton of polls on Insta stories. And I guess it does transfer right over to Facebook because I have it like auto sharing. But I didn't ever get like enough or a ton from Facebook, but Insta stories post all of the time. And that's the incredible thing. Like, I don't post before and afters on my actual Insta feed, but my Insta stories, there's before and afters all of the time, because it's not like, it's just different. Like, people don't look at that as like, oh, look at the aesthetic of her feed, it's all messed up because of before and afters. It's your Insta story. So it's gone in 24 hours and they just are scrolling through. But that was incredible. So I would always make sure I would work on those, put those up, and be messaging people who are, voting on that. Host to post was incredible. If you have not done the giveaway that the teams do, like, it's insane. And what is so interesting to me is I don't have a Target in my town. Like, the closest Target is an hour and a half away from me. And so when we announced that it was going to be Target, I was like, like, I love Target. I mean, I go to Target like once a month. We make special trips to go to Buffalo, and I'm like, it's Target and Starbucks Day. This is, my kids love it. But, and like, obviously my network is much bigger than just my local hometown, but a majority of my network is still my hometown. So I'm thinking like, no one is ever going to want to enter into this Target giveaway because probably half of them have never been to Target. Like, but it was insane. I think I sent Sarah like over 300 entries for the Target gift card giveaway. And like, it doesn't matter what we're giving away. People just always want to win something. So like, it doesn't matter what they're winning. They just want to win it. So go and send your $5 and get in on that giveaway because it is gold. On the host to posts, so I would be wise with the times that I was hosting them and the products. So if you don't sell fat fighters very well, don't do a host to post for fat fighters. Like, stick to what you know and what's going to be easy for you, because host to posts get very overwhelming very quickly if you have one that blows up. You're going to be in a lot of conversations and you're probably going to be like, wait, what are we talking about? So stick to stuff that you know. Like, I did a ton of cleanse and a ton of skinny mochas. And that's pretty much what I sold all month. And then towards the end of the month, I started to push triple threats. And I did 2 options of the triple threat. So I did the old one, which is Thermobite, greens, and fat fighters. And then I did a new one that was greens, keto coffee, and cleanse. And so I would post before and afters, for my host to post. And I would say, I don't remember what I used, like what wording I used, but it was pretty much just like a general weight loss one. And then when people would comment, I would message them and be like, hey, I actually have 2 options that's similar to what the girl in the picture used. And once I know like your eating plan and if you're exercising and like your lifestyle, we can create a custom plan. Here's what those 6 products are, or here's what those 2 options are. You answer these questions for me, and then we'll go from there. And so I spent a ton of time, and I know I talked to Claire about this, but like, for the first time in my business, I felt like I was really helping people. Like, I was talking through all of their goals, and I was, not just trying to sell them a cleanse because they commented on the cleanse post. I was actually saying like, okay, what are your weight loss goals? Like, how much weight do you want to lose? Do you just want to feel better? Do you feel bloated? And then they would answer, and I would be like, okay, well, what does your diet look like? What do you eat during the day? How much water do you drink? Do you exercise? Do you walk? Like, what do you do? Let's really pair and pick what's going to fit you, because one, you're probably more than likely going to sell them on more than one product, because they're going to want to know everything that's going to fix them, but everything that's going to help them. And 2, you're building a relationship with them. So you'll have longevity in that, because they're not just another person, just another number, just another person buying product. So that is super important to really talk through their goals with them and then ask them their budget. Like ask their budget. Even if they commented on a Fat Fighter's thing, if you're talking about goals, ask them their budget. And I always say, what's a comfortable budget for you? Under 50, under 100, under 150. And they will pick one of those numbers and we go from there. I can't tell you how many times I would talk to somebody and I would scroll back through our conversation and we initially talked about like a cleanse and that they were like, oh, that's probably the most I can do, blah, blah, blah. And then they didn't order and it was months later. And now in November, they commented on a post somewhere and we talked through and I didn't scroll back to see what we talked about before. And I just asked them what their budget was and they spent over $100 because they're finally ready to make a change in their life. And if you just focus on that one product, one, they're probably not going to see the drastic change that they're hoping for. And they're not really going to get the goal, hit the goals that they want or told you about. And two, you're limiting yourself in actually the upselling. So always ask their budget. And then to follow up on that, you're messaging everybody, follow up with everybody. I don't really do follow up Friday. I just do follow up when I think of it. Or I'll go through my list. I have a potentials notebook and I'll just go through it and message people when I have a minute. I'll be like, okay, today when my kids are napping, I'm only messaging. That's all I'm doing. And you don't have to message them specifically about a product. Message them something genuine, just being like, hey, how was your Thanksgiving? Well, obviously don't send that now because it's well past Thanksgiving, but that's what I would send after Thanksgiving. That was a bad example. But go to their feed and scroll through their stuff and everything, comment everything. That's another thing I would do in my working time is intentionally interact with people. You're building a relationship. We are in the business of building a relationship, not just selling products. So shift that and take that right out of your mind that you're just selling a product. You're not. You're building relationships with people, and anything that happens beyond that is a blessing. Okay. So interact with them, go to their page, find something that you might be able to message them about, and ask, hey, where'd you get those jeans? Or, oh my gosh, I loved that picture of you and your kids. That was so cute. I hope you're doing really well. Or I hope you are having a great day or something. Just something to pop back up in there. And also, if you have somebody who's ghosted you and kind of disappeared and you've followed up a few times and you're like, where the heck are they? I promise you, if you go to their page and start liking some of their stuff, I bet you'll get a response to your message pretty soon because they probably forgot. 9 times out of 10, they're not blatantly ignoring you. They probably just got busy and forgot. How many times have you read a message and been making dinner or something and you're like, I'll respond later, and then 2 days go by and you haven't. But if your name pops up in their notifications, they'll probably be like, oh, right, I need to message her. So definitely interact intentionally. In Messenger, set reminders. Reminders are gold. I don't know how I have not been doing this since Messenger launched reminders because they're incredible. They seriously have probably saved my follow-ups because it just dings and I'm like, oh, I have to check in with that person. When they tell you, hey, I can't order today, whatever, you ask them, okay, when is a good time for me to check back in? Even if they said I'm not interested or I'm not going to order today or I'm going to think about it, ask them, when can I check back in with you? I want to make sure that you're going to get one of my discounts. I want to make sure that we get you started. If they tell you a day, put the day in there. And here is the next thing that's super important. Pick a time that you're going to know or that you'll be available to respond right when it dings. So set your reminder for a time that you're going to be okay to respond. So for me, I'm not going to set a reminder for 8:00 because that's when I'm dropping Emma off at school. So I'm not going to be able to respond. And then I'm probably going to forget about it. And when their phone dings, then by the time I respond to it, they're gone. So pick a time that you can be available to talk to them. Another thing I did was I checked in with my team, just kind of to see where they are and help them with any conversations or anything like that. Grow your network. You can only talk to so many people that are on your newsfeed at one. You have to grow your network. You have to be adding people every single day. For host to post, I noticed that Facebook hated me last month, probably because I was making money through their business. But So I would have to, like, I wouldn't get notifications on all my host posts. So I would take everybody that did a host post for me got saved into a collection on Facebook called November Host to Post. And so every day I would go through and I would scroll that all the way back to the beginning to see, because you're not getting notified if people like it. You're only getting notified if somebody comments. And I wasn't even getting notified if somebody commented because, again, Facebook hated me. So you want to check that. And I message the likers. If they like it or comment, I message them. And I just change my wording from saying, hey, I noticed your comment on Sarah's post. I say, hey, I noticed you liked Sarah's post. And then I just do the same exact spiel. And 9 times out of 10, they all responded, yeah, I am interested. So some people just want to do it, sneaky. They don't want their name attached to it. They don't want to be shown, like, they think I'll just like it because that will show my interest. I don't want to have to, I don't want people to see my comment. So message the likers. And then the other thing I did was I would message like old LCs that haven't been ordering and just ask them if they needed any more product. But that was like, yeah, that's what I did during my working time. And then obviously there's like, it would change. Every day is different, but.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I love it. Okay. I love when people give us like those really practical things of like, here's exactly what I did. Like when I get on a training, that's exactly what I want to hear. It's like, okay, tell me what you did. Like, tell me how you did it. And I love that you just gave us so many practical things. Okay. So the next question I think everyone has when they're working for promotion, and that is, how did you get your team on board with you to promote last month? And then how did you keep them on board with you to promote with you? And then how did you get past those who weren't on board? Because there's always going to be people that aren't on board. They're too busy that month, or maybe they're no longer really interested in the business, but they're in a position or they have volume under them where it makes sense to use them. So how do you run with people who aren't necessarily running with you, and how do you get people to run with you? I just said the question different ways. You go, you answer it.
Okay, so I reached out to everybody on my team. I sent messages to them towards the end of October, knowing that I was going to push really hard in November. And I just basically said, again, the same thing that I switched in my mind, I switched in my conversations. I didn't say, we are trying to go double diamond this month. I didn't say, maybe we'll go double, maybe we'll promote. I didn't say, if we promote. I said, we are a double diamond team November 30th, which means that you are XYZ. You are going executive. You are going Ruby. You are going Emerald. Like, I did not waver from that. I was confident in my conversations with people. And I just said, like, this is what's happening. We're going double diamond. That means that you are going to go this and get a pay raise. Are you in? What are you thinking? Like, this is going to take a team effort. You're going to have to lock arms. Are you ready and willing to put in the work? And, a lot of them were like, yes, but there were some that ignored my messages, didn't respond to anything. This week they'll get a nice pay. Some of them are going to get a nice paycheck, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But basically I just said to them, like, let's get a game plan. We're going to check our volumes every day. Like, you might hate me at the end of the month because I'm going to be like, okay, what is it? Like, and I basically just told them, like, I'm going to be very available. And I am a pretty like reachable person. Like, if they message me, I feel bad making them wait for a response. So usually I answer pretty quickly, but obviously, like, I'm a busy mom. I have 3 kids. I have a husband. Like, I have other things. And so previously I wouldn't be like, oh, I have to answer that right away. I would wait if, they can wait. Like, they can wait till I eat dinner, or they can wait till after this. And I pretty much said to them, like, this month, that's not going to happen. Like, I am going to be available for you. I am here whenever you need me. You send me anything you need. Like, if you need a conversation help, you tell me about it. If you need me to like lift you up and motivate you, you tell me. I'm going to do it. Like, just being really available with them. And I had a conversation with my husband too. So if anybody is married, like, he's the most important person on your team. And so I think when we talk about how do you, reach out to your team and tell them that you're going for this, like, your spouse is the number one team member that you have, because they are going to have to step up in a big way to kind of lift some things off your plate. Like, I'm a mom. That's number one. There's a lot of things going on in my life, and my oldest is special needs, and she takes a lot out of you literally when she wakes up at like 5 a.m. Thankfully my husband is incredible and he gets up early with her, but it required a lot of like team effort, and basically me just saying like, if we're going for this, then I'm going to need you to do the dishes. I'm going to need you to make dinner. I'm going to need you to fold the laundry. I'm going to need you to like take the kids in the other room. I'm going to need you to deal with Emma's outbursts a lot more than you do, because I have to work. Like if my phone dings, I have to answer that message, because that could be a sale that will disappear if I don't respond right away, you know, and you have to have that conversation of like, not every month is going to be like this. It's just this month. You know, it's because we are pushing for something so huge and so dynamic. And obviously you're going to continue to keep a specific pace because you have to, as you're growing and as you're building your team and you have more people, you have to, but like the intensity that it involves is not always going to be like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm right here all the time. But you have to have that conversation with your spouse. They have to be on board. I promise you, it's so much easier if they help you. And my husband is incredible, and he didn't, you know, he jumped right in. And he still is doing amazing this month. He's kept up with quite a few things. And I'm like, yeah, I like this new life. Pray over your team. That is the biggest thing too. Pray over your team. Like, not just in terms of this business. These people are your family. They are your team. Like, they're closest to you. You're sharing big life things with them as you promote and, you know them, get to know them, and pray over them, and pray specifically for things that are going on in their life. Like if you know they're struggling with something, pray about it. Like put them before God, before any business thing, because the relationship with them matters far more than any business relationship. So that's really important. Now, to the ones who did not respond, or the ones who ghost you or disappear, I normally would really struggle with that. Like I take it personally when people decide to quit. I take it personally when they don't answer my messages. I take it personally when a potential is like, oh, I changed my mind. Like that's just me. I take it personal. And so in the month of November, I knew I had no time to do that. I could not, again, you have to take your thoughts captive. And I knew that I couldn't allow that to happen. And so I literally was like, you know what, I'm going to decide, and I'm going to transition my mind and my heart, because that's really important, from feeling like I'm making them money and, well, they're going to have a great payday. Yeah, you're welcome. To what a blessing and a gift I'm giving them. Like it's a blessing to be a bless, or you're blessed to be a blessing. And so you can't let any of that hold you back. Like obviously you want it to be a team effort, but ultimately it's your business. And so at the end of the month, did you put in everything you could because you were, you know, annoyed that this person didn't respond to you? So you just left their volume and didn't do anything to help, or didn't do anything to like do anything on that side of the chart or something, because you just thought that someone's randomly going to fall out of the sky, or they're just going to be like, oh, actually I changed my mind. Like at the end of the month, it's your business. So you are going to be held accountable to yourself, and it's going to be on you that box is left not at 400 or whatever it is. And so you have to really transition into being like, if you like, this is a blessing for them. So I'm not going to give names because I'm just not, but there is a person on my team who is going to get a very substantial paycheck this month. And they have still never responded to my message that I sent in October. They've never responded. And I could sit here and be like annoyed about it, but realistically, I'm like, Merry Christmas. Like, you can't do anything else about it. You just have to like know that it's just this season where you're going to be giving them a paycheck, and then you're going to kind of transition. And what's really awesome and how incredible God is that I had two people in the same downline who did not respond. One person did respond and said they were willing to work, and then totally disappeared. We added somebody to our team 2 weeks before November ended. 2 weeks before November ended, okay? And I texted Claire and I was like, I'm going to make a change. She's going to be an executive. I'm going to just chart her executive, and I'm just changing it. I would rather this. And I'm sure Claire was probably like, oh, I have like 2 weeks left. Okay. All right. Like these other ones already have volume there. What are you doing? That girl's charted Ruby. She is now charted Ruby. And so like, she just joined the end of November. And so if you feel like you have people on your team who are just like, not doing anything, know that it doesn't matter if you're continuing to just be a blessing and to just being like, it's fine, it's going to work out. You might sign your next Ruby 2 weeks before the end of the month and everything changes. So I just, like everybody says, you'll hear all the time, love them in and love them out. And does it stink that they were incredible and they were really good assets to my team and now they're not doing anything? Yeah, it stinks a lot, but I still love them. Just like I said, I pray over my team because I'm building relationships, and I would never, ever, ever want to jeopardize a relationship over this business. And so if it's not their thing, it's not their thing. But if they're in a spot for me to promote, I'm not going to let it hold me back. And I'm just going to fill that volume. And then I'm going to go, and one of my girls on my team actually signed to this girl who's now chartered Ruby. And so I love that girl because I'm like, thank you, because you just totally replaced a whole chunk of my chart that we built. So don't focus on the people who are not with you and not locking arms with you, because you could have somebody incredible, coming right up the line. So lock arms with the people who are ready to run and just pick up the slack for the people who aren't, because eventually it's going to pay off.
And I love that you shared that point after we talked about what you did to get your mindset in the right place, because you had that abundance mindset and you had that high belief mindset. And if you had to make a decision to completely change your chart when your mindset was not in a good place, and when your mindset was in a place of like, I don't know if I can do this, then that would have been a totally different scenario for you. And you wouldn't have been able to say like, okay, I'm changing everything right now. But because your belief was so high, you're able to say, I'm going to change everything and it's still going to work out because I know that this is happening because I've already made the decision. And so I love that. That's so huge. Okay, guys, I know that it's after 10, but our last question I think is going to be a really, really good one. And I think it's really going to help everybody. So if you have to hop off, it's okay. We're recording, but I would invite you to stay on because I think this next part is going to be really good. So my last question is, here we are, we're almost halfway through December now, and let's talk about, let's say we're sitting here and we are so far still from our goals, and we're like, oh my goodness, I haven't accomplished even half of what I wanted to accomplish by this time in December. I wanted to promote this month and I'm not even as close as I want to be. What do? I feel like my goal is too far away. How do I still meet my goal? What would you say to those people in light of everything you accomplished last month?
I would say, do not let the size of the number paralyze you. Just don't. Because if I think back to November 11th, that number was still pretty big. I didn't sign my first LC until November 12th. So those first 12 days were brutal because I was just like, oh my gosh, where is this going to come? And I ended the month with 43 LCs. So it can happen at any time. Do not paralyze yourself at the size of your number, at the size of your mountain. Don't, because we talked about this as a theme, that this was like our Goliath. Like this promotion was like Goliath, and God can do incredible things with a slingshot and a stone and a small person. Like, do not let it paralyze you. When it feels scary, push harder. Like tangible things I can say, like take 5 minutes. If you are feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling like, holy cow, how's this going to happen? Take 5 minutes, give yourself the space to be frustrated, to feel those feelings, and then move on. Exactly like I mentioned before, you cannot be an overcomer with a victim mindset. You can't. So, but give yourself the time to like rationalize it, talk it out, do whatever you have to do. Have a great cry, have a scream. I don't know. Yell at your husband if it makes you feel better, because you just need to like get all of that aggression out and then move on. Like shake it off and just go forward, because obviously nothing's going to happen if you stay in that state. Like, and if you're so like overwhelmed and frustrated, you're not doing anything, you're not working. Like your conversations are going to be junk because people are going to sense that you're miserable. You're not going to post, you're not going to engage with people. Like, so give yourself 5 minutes and then move on. Anything can happen. anything can happen. Like I just told you, I didn't sign my first LC until November 12th. Anything can happen. Like I don't know numbers because everything kind of got like really quick at the end. But I think in like the last 3 days, we brought in well over 2,000 in BD. Like, so even the last week of the month, we were still pretty far, not pretty far away, but like it still felt like Goliath. And, we just brought in all that volume and anything can happen. Like people just started to message. People were like, let's talk to everybody. Like go back to like the very first person you ever talked to in this business and ask them if they're not ready to, order products. Like anything can happen. Believe in yourself. I think that so many people like discount that because they just are, I don't know, they're told their whole life that they are not, or they are less than or something. And you have to believe in yourself. Like, I get it. We always say like, borrow my belief if you don't have it. But at some point you have to believe in yourself. Like at some point, my belief isn't going to carry you any further. Like, it's great when you're first starting out, but like, you gotta believe in yourself. Nothing is too big for God. Like we know this. That is like the heart of our business, is that Christ is at the center of it. That's really how we judge everything, how we make every decision. So you have to know that nothing is too big for God. Like it might feel like too much. It might feel like it's too hard, but God might be using them to grow you in areas that have nothing to do with your paycheck. For me last month, there were a lot of obstacles. There were a lot of things that the enemy tried to do to steal my passion, to steal my motivation, to steal my desire for this. And I discovered that God was doing a whole lot more in my heart than he was in building my paycheck. Is that a gift? Is that a blessing? Yes, it's incredible. And I will probably continue to cry over and over when I think about the amount that it is, but he did so much more than my paycheck. And I think when you anticipate that and when you believe that, you're going to see so much more growth, because it's not about, obviously tangibly it is about the paycheck, but there's so much more to be learned and so much more to grow from in this business than just the dollar bills. And so you have to believe that. You have to trust the fact that he might be doing something bigger. And like, a lot of times, sorry, switching my page here. I told Claire I had quite a few pages of notes. So sorry guys, thanks for staying on. But there was a devotion that Claire sent me this month, and it talked about how when we doubt, and I went on like an Instagram. I had a really rough morning with Emma. I'm going to go on a tangent here and share a little bit about Emma. But so Emma is 5.5. She's my oldest, and she has special needs. And I'm not going to cry because that's not what this theme is about. But we finally got a diagnosis, and she has a super rare genetic condition. And with it comes a host of lovely things. And, it carries lots of health issues. So far, we haven't seen a ton of that. What we see a lot of is behavior issues. She's missing some of her chromosomes. So everybody is always like, oh, it's a genetics thing. So, they must be happy because they, whatever. And I'm like, no. I think the opposite end of that. And so I think it was might have been the last week of the month, actually. I feel like it was pretty close to the end of the month when this happened. We just had a really rough morning, and usually we have a rough morning every morning because she doesn't self-regulate. She doesn't know how to cope with anything. She gets stuck on something, and it's like, I don't know, 3 hours before she will get over it. And it's just all the crying, all the screaming, just everything. She sees somebody throwing a fit or a tantrum, or her brother gets in trouble, and she has to absorb all of that. So we had a really rough day, a rough morning. And, I dropped her off at school, and I took Theo to school, and I'm just distraught. Theo's preschool teacher was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm just going to go enjoy alone time with Asa. I was a mess. And Claire sent me this devotional, and it was, from Elevation Worship, There's a Cloud. It was based around their song. And it said in there, when we doubt, or when we get to this point, we naturally look at what's missing. We focus on frustrations instead of what we have. And it hit me really hard because through this business, we didn't know that Emma had a serious we didn't know she had a genetic condition 3 years ago when I joined, 2.5 years ago. She was a preemie, so we knew, she had uphill battles. She was delayed. We knew that she was going to need extra help. But the depth of that we didn't anticipate, and we didn't really know. And we were kind of just flying blind a lot. And so now we're at the point where we're like, she's going to need way more than we can offer her financially. We don't know what her future looks like. She could be with us forever. And, that is like a really weighty thing to carry as a mom, because I don't know if anybody else ever feels like this, but when you're a mom of littles, sometimes your mind goes to the feeling of like, when they're all grown and gone, it's going to be so quiet and so nice. And yeah, I'm going to miss it, but like, it's going to be nice. And I don't know if I have that in my future. And so there's a lot of stuff that I've had to grapple with, and this business is going to be an outlet, and it's going to be a vehicle to allow us to give her what she needs. And so, I have prayed numerous times, like, Lord, you can heal her. Like, you can perform a miracle right here in my baby. I've seen you do it numerous times. I saw you do it in the NICU with her. Like, come on, you can do this. And that Bible study she sent me was like, no, that is not, like, yes, you can continue to pray for that, but there's a reason that I'm not doing it. And you have the choice. You have the choice to shift your perspective. You do. Like, you are the one that gets to wake up and decide how that day is going to go. You set the temperature of your home. Like, you're the thermostat. You are the one that gets to decide what it's going to be. And it's the same exact thing for your business. Like, when you're in a season of drought, or when you're in a season of like, this feels so overwhelming. Like, I don't have working distributors. I don't have customers knocking down my door. I don't have the volume here. I don't have, cute pictures to post. Like, I don't have before and afters of myself. Like, when you are feeling all of these things that you don't have, you have the choice to shift every single bit of that perspective to what you do have, to what is a blessing, to what is going to pour down on you. Like, you get to decide that. And so it's almost like, are you going to complain and stress about what's missing? So for example, volume, enrollments, working distributors, your team, people in general, or are you going to call it to God to provide what is needed? And instead of worrying and stressing and whining and complaining about what you don't have, why don't you get down on your knees and be like, I'm ready. I'm going to do the work. I'm ready to, have your blessings pour out. I'm going to put in the effort, and I'm going to watch you match it. Are you going to focus on the lack, or are you going to look up? And so you have to do the work, and every moment of your journey is always for your good and for God's glory. And you have to ingrain that into your mind, especially in this business, because you are dealing with people, and the best part of this business is people, and the worst part of this business is people. So you just have to have that in your mindset. And, I had a little side note here that I thought of afterwards, but it's like, to go off of that little bit of, when you're looking at what's missing, like when you have a DT quit on you, or a distributor who's already on your team, they disappear or they quit on you, like, that's not new. That has happened over and over and over and over. And we know it's going to happen because everybody has a different why. And, they all have seasons. And so you can't dwell on it. You literally are wasting your time. You're wasting the income you could be getting. You're wasting the growth you could be having worrying about that. You love them in, you love them out. You just keep moving forward. And it's the same, it goes in the same line of that. Like, you cannot have, you have to have an abundance mindset in every area of your life, in your parenting, in your marriage, in your business.
This is so good. Like, I feel like we're just all getting preached to, and I know that everybody feels the same way. Like, I don't know if you've been seeing the comments out of the corner of your eye, but like, you are just speaking so much life into us. This is so good. I'm about to share this Zoom all over the place because everybody needs to see it. And it's just so evident what God has been doing in your heart, and not just last month, but clearly for a long time, and clearly through a lot of different things that you've walked through. And not everybody even knows the tip of the iceberg of what God's brought your family through in recent years. And it just makes me love you all the more because you're so strong. And I just love seeing God bless you. And I love seeing the way that God's chose to strengthen you and uplift you. And in everything that's been taken from you and that the enemy has tried to use to steal, kill, and destroy, God has used to bring renewal and life, and to now pour into all of these people that needed to hear what you had to say tonight. And it's just incredible to watch. I'm so grateful for you and for your heart, and Mike's heart too. And I love him like yelling things in the background because he's like, I have things to share too. But I love it. I love it.
I told him he had to go in. I was like, you can't watch me. You have to get out of my sight because I don't have an office for the door. So
I know it's so awkward when they're like right in the other room. But oh, well, thank you so much. I want to ask you like a million more things because this is so good, but I have a feeling you're going to have people in your inbox wanting to ask you things too. But thank you so much.
You can always ask me. I'm an open book. I promise.
I love it. We heard about how you're available. The way you say the word available. You're available to everyone. So
wait, I say it available.
You say it really weird. It's fine. It's actually really cute. Every time you said it, I was like, I love it.
Mike just said I say a lot of things weird. So.
You do. You have a weird accent. It's fine. It's fine. But yes. Okay. Well, I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I have one more thing.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
I just want to end with, you guys, I wrote this down here, but I just want to end with like, keep the bigger picture in front of you. Okay. Like I mentioned before, now every month is going to look as insane as a promotion month, but you have to keep the bigger picture. So like for us, that means retiring Mike. And so that's all I thought about all month long was the bigger picture. Like, okay, all of this chaos, all of these things that are thrown at me, it's all going to be worth it when we get to the bigger picture. And every single month, every single day, every single moment is just a piece of the bigger puzzle. And you're not going to see that big puzzle for a long, long time, but you still need to put in the work and be coordinating all of the pieces. Okay. So consider this month to be one of those pieces. Consider whatever Goliath you're facing right now to be one of your pieces. And eventually it's going to create this beautiful masterpiece. And somebody had said something about like a tapestry and how, I think it's a tapestry or something like tapestry. See, he tells me I talk around too. It's fine. You all knew what I was talking about. On one side, it's beautiful and stunning and gorgeous. You flip it over and it makes no sense. There's pieces everywhere. Like the strings are all whatever. And it's just, it's like, how does the other side look that beautiful and this side looks like a disaster? Welcome to your life. Like, it's probably not going to be this beautiful, glorified, straight line path to whatever you call success. It's going to be messy. And so just know that your bigger picture is worth every little piece of the puzzle that you're putting together right now. Yeah. Go with that.
So good.
And I'll stop talking so I don't talk weird.
No, I love it. I love every little bit of it. So good. So good. Thank you so much. I seriously can't thank you enough. And I'm going to get this on YouTube right now because I know you all want to share it. So.
Sorry I didn't get any comments.
It's fine. It's totally fine. You covered everything. It was all good. So, okay. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks so much for hanging on with us. And I'm so excited to see how this training tonight impacts the rest of December for you. Good night.